welcome back to the program. Joining me now is foreign editor at The Australian, Greg Sheridan. Greg, good evening to you. As we've talked about, Australia has joined Britain and Canada in officially recognising a Palestinian state. That comes with future steps like opening embassies and establishing diplomatic ties. I want to get your thoughts in a moment, but first, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused the leaders of the three countries of rewarding terrorism and insists there will be no Palestinian state. Here's what he said.
I
have a clear message to those leaders who recognise a Palestinian state after the terrible massacre of October 7th. You are giving a huge prize to terrorism. And I have another message for you. It will not happen. There will be no Palestinian state west of the Jordan.
So, Greg Sheridan, is the Israeli Prime Minister right? Has our government rewarded terrorism with this move?
Well, James, it's great to be with you. A few things to disentangle, really. I think the Albanese government has made a mistake and it has rewarded Hamas, and Hamas hailed it today as a great victory. It's important to remember that we have absolutely no influence in the Middle East. So what the Albanese government is doing is purely performative and utterly hollow. I do think it's disturbing for Benjamin Netanyahu to say there will never ever be a Palestinian state west of the Jordan River. I mean, that wasn't his position even a few years ago, and you'd have to hope that you would eventually get normalisation between the Israelis and the Palestinians, and that there will be a Palestinian state in due course after proper negotiation and compromise. So my beef with the Albanese government is that you recognise a state when a state comes into existence, and making these kind of hollow performative gestures, it reinforces Hamas within the Palestinian world, because Hamas can say, look what terror achieved, and it tends to provoke that kind of reaction from the Israelis to say, well, if you're determining our future, we're not going to let you. But I think it was a very bad mistake by the Albanese government.
What do you make of Anthony Albanese's assertion that recognising Palestine is part of the peace process rather than a reward for peace? Do you think that's a reasonable strategy?
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. Why not recognise the Tibetan government in exile, or the Kurds in Syria and Iraq? I mean, they have as strong a moral case as the Palestinians for a state of their own. I mean, Tibet used to be an independent state. We've moved away from those kind of symbolic recognitions, and we recognise a new state when it comes into existence. But even in terms of the Albanese government's own policy, it's internally contradictory and incoherent, and which tells you that it's only gesture politics, because Albanese, in order to, appease a little bit the pro-Israel people in Australia, says, well, we're only doing this on strict conditions. The Palestinian Authority has to reform and has to have democratic elections, and there has to be Hamas having no role in the future of Gaza, and Hamas has to surrender all its weapons. Well, if you thought recognition had any meaning and those were your conditions, why not wait until those conditions are satisfied first? Because none of those conditions depends on Israel. The Palestinians could satisfy all those conditions tomorrow if they wanted to. Hamas could release the hostages tomorrow. It could say it's giving its weapons to the Palestinian Authority tomorrow. Palestinian Authority could reform tomorrow. It could hold elections tomorrow. But really, James, the whole thing, so I am myself critical of the Netanyahu government's policies at the moment, and I think they are bad policies. But I think the Albanese government is not just making a sound, reasonable criticism of the Netanyahu government, it's going into absurd fantasyland gesture politics, which it knows will have no effect. And the motive of it is not to have any effect in the Middle East. The motive of it is to have an effect in, marginal electorates where Labor is challenged by the Greens, and in some electorates where there are large numbers of Muslim voters. This is just domestic politics, foreign policy, domestic politics disguised as foreign policy.